You know what, too? Like, I'm not getting old, but the fucking, I'm getting old waiting for big fights. I'm getting old waiting for the sport to rejuvenate itself. I'm getting old waiting for fighters to like want to actually fight, and
Yeah.
people to fight more than once a year, and guys to get into the ring, and I'm getting too old for all the nonsense, right? Because I think right now boxing's in the shitter, and we all have to work to get it out of there. And until people understand that it's in the shitter, we're really going nowhere.
So on this show, we don't want to exclude the casual boxing fans because as we know we need them if the sport's gonna grow, right? So I just want to get into like why you think that is, and can you explain it in a way that people who don't
Yeah,
even follow the sport as closely would best understand? Like, why are we having these
fighters don't
issues right
fight
now?
very often any longer. A tremendous amount of money has been spent in the United States over the last half decade to decade, and it really hasn't built stars. It hasn't built a fan base. People have gotten rich off of it. Some fighters have been overpaid off of it. Some promoters have put phenomenal amounts of money in their pockets when their partners lost phenomenal amounts of money. But the sport hasn't grown. Our fan base hasn't grown. And have we really built any stars? I mean, our biggest stars are fighting in front of fewer people, and we're not growing new ones. And our definition of star is very different. If you could walk through Times Square, I don't care if you could do 200,000 pay-per-view buys. If you could walk through Times Square and no one knows who the fuck you are, you're not a superstar. You're not a superstar. I don't give a shit what you think. If I have more Twitter followers than you do, you're not a superstar.
No, that's true. That's very true. But how do we change that? How does boxing go about changing that and giving us,
It's
the
not. It's
boxing
not
fans, the
going.
big fights that we want?
You can't, because you'd have to tear down the whole system that now exists. Because you can't have the exclusive deals with networks is what networks do when they shit on boxing. Like when a network gives an exclusive to a promoter, it's because it's easier to do that because they don't have an inside programming guy. They don't care enough about boxing. They don't think it's must-see programming for their viewers. They just think it's cheap sports programming, and so they do an exclusive deal with a Top Rank or an exclusive deal with a Showtime or a Fox, or in the case of the Zone, they actually believed in the beginning when they couldn't get other sports rights that boxing was an area, and they weren't incorrect because of how fractured and there's no control anywhere over boxing, and they thought they were able to spend a lot of money and come in and turn the thing into a UFC. It doesn't work that way, right? And Eddie's a good promoter, and with a big budget, his company's been established in the UK for a long time. But a UK promoter can't come into an American market and just spend money and think they're going to control the sport. It doesn't work that way. And the exclusive deals have killed what's left of the business. And they started killing the business when HBO gave an exclusive to Golden Boy in the mid 2010, in that area, 20 whatever, when they gave an exclusive to Golden Boy.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a decade later, HBO was out of the business. And they weren't out of the business because of an exclusive to Golden Boy. They were out of the business because the big fights stopped happening. And fights that the general public cared about stopped happening. And how many of our fighters are really part of pop culture? Or really, you want to talk about casual fans? Well, you're doing this show for casuals. A lot of your people listening, you hope, are casuals. Casuals don't even know who the fuck our fighters are. Right. I mean, if you think casuals are sitting around going, "Oh my God, I'm so miserable. When is Errol Spence fighting Crawford?" They don't even know who the fuck Errol Spence and Crawford are. Casuals. Yeah. How many times have Errol Spence and Crawford even fought in the last couple of years? And Errol's fights have generally lately been on pay-per-view. And the fights that Crawford have had, it's been a while since he's fought on ESPN, and he hasn't fought a huge fight recently, and no one watched his last fight on pay-per-view. I mean, I don't think he made that dumb a deal if he really got paid $5 or $10 million to fight a walkover fight. God bless him. That wasn't a bad business move. But in terms of thinking it's making you a bigger star, Bud's not becoming a bigger star right now. That fight's not getting bigger right now. That fight's getting smaller. And if they can't make it, why are they going to think they're going to make it when it's getting smaller?
Right.
So,
and to answer your question, I think the last time he fought twice in a year was 2019, which you're seeing. This
Yeah,
is something
but the fucked up part is I can go through the list of champions and a list of guys, the list of guys that are making over $1 million a fight. The overwhelming majority of them are fighting once a year.
And you know what though? Like Shantelle and I were just doing this. We were going through like a list of prospects who are now fighting once, twice a year.
Prospect doesn't deal with a big guy or a TV guy. I mean, they don't want to fight for the lower money. So they would rather sit on their ass and get overpaid twice a year than fight 5 times a year. That's a really dumb way for an athlete to think. Think about aggregating. Right. Well, I'd rather make a little bit less than fight more often. Right? I mean, you have a limited shelf life as an athlete. Also, you don't get bigger not fighting.
Right.
Boxing sucks, bro. And like, I know it sucks. And no one's paying you guys to do this show. I don't even know why you're doing it right now. People don't want to hear this, but our best aren't fighting the best. And we're not offering the best product we can offer. And if I had a streaming service, Jalal would already be a deal. If I had an exclusive deal, I would do the same shit these other people are doing, and my guys would be bigger just because you'd see them more. But they still wouldn't be fighting the biggest guy that Eddie has, or the biggest guy that Bob has, or the biggest guy that you know what I'm saying? Because if I had my own service, I'd want to keep it in house. So now, no one can you imagine if the Kansas City Chiefs never played the Philadelphia Eagles because they were on different sides of the street? When I started in this sport, no one talked about fucking size. You're laughing, but you're the motherfuckers that are paying money every month to buy the fights. I don't understand what the fuck you people are doing. I don't know what a lot of people, I'll be honest with you. I won't pay for a pay-per-view every month to see a fight I used to see on HBO Championship Boxing or Showtime Championship Boxing. I won't do that. I won't. And maybe I'm becoming less of a fan. I think I'm just exercising reasonable judgment. Every fucking fight that's on Showtime, every fight that's someone's paying 7 figures for should be a meaningful fight.